I'm going to admit everybody in.
Hi, good day. Welcome to the Adult Education Division Fruitcake Making. My name is Shelleen Prescott. I'm the officer for the Southwest Zone, which is in Roseau. This year, we are working in collaboration with the Division of Culture, so we'd like to thank them for coming on board this year. Today, we have with us Ms. Julia Eloi, who will be doing our fruitcake. Next week, we will have our ham and turkey, and that will be next week Thursday, 9th of December. So Ms. Eloi has been facilitating for us for a number of years. Some of you all know her as our pastry facilitator, but she's also our cake making facilitator as well, okay? We remembered last year when we said Christmas was not cancelled, and this year Christmas is still not cancelled. So we're here to enjoy our virtual experience with us. Ms. Eloi will give you a brief introduction about herself, and then we'll go on with our program. Please ensure that you have the etiquette of virtual class. You keep your microphones on mute, and you ask questions and participate. Thank you all for joining us. Ms. Eloi.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Julia Eloi, and I will be doing your virtual cake making today. Today we are going to be making fruit cake. I hope you are all ready, because it's going to be a very interesting and exciting class. For those of you who already have the recipe for the fruitcakes, or you have your ingredients at hand, I need you all to have a notepad and a pen close by so you can take notes as to the measurements for the ingredients that you have. We are going to start by putting our sugar and butter to cream. We are going to use close spread margarine, which is one of my favorite, and it should be yours too, and white sugar. We are making half a pound of fruit cake. For that measurement, we will need half a pound of raisins, half a pound of prunes, half a pound of currants, half a pound of sultanas, half pound cherries, quarter pound mixed peel, 1 to 2 bottles of wine, ruby rich wine preferably. If you don't have ruby rich wine, you can use red label wine or cherry brandy. Half a pound of margarine, half pound sugar, half pound of eggs, which is equivalent to 4 eggs, 3/4 pound flour sifted, and the flour can be regular flour, or if you have all-purpose sifted flour, it's fine. For me, regular flour works just as fine. We need 4 tablespoons vanilla essence, 2 tablespoons almond essence, 2 tablespoons mixed essence, 1 teaspoon cinnamon powder, 1 teaspoon nutmeg powder, and please bear in mind the cinnamon powder and the nutmeg powder are all optional. It's your choice. If you want to put it in, you put it in. If not, that's fine. We need 2 tablespoons of instant coffee, Nescafe, cold cafe, whatever instant coffee you have, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, whatever brand of baking powder you have is fine, and we need 1/4 cup gravy browning, 1/4 cup. For those of you who do not have a measuring cup, this is a 1 cup measuring cup. 1/4 cup browning is equivalent to 4 tablespoons. So if you don't have this and you have one like this, 4 tablespoons is fine. And we need the rind of 1 lime. Okay, we are going to get started. First, we are going to measure our butter. We need half a pound of butter. I am going to measure it on the scale. I'm just adjusting my scales just so I get a precise measurement. Okay, so make sure your scale is set at 0. So I'm going to do the half pound butter. Good. So we have our half pound butter measured. I'm now going to empty it out in our mixing bowl. I'm going to scrape off the excess butter that is left on the wax paper. And everyone, please bear in mind, or if you have noticed, that I have used wax paper to measure my butter just to prevent the scale from being dirty, so I don't have to wash it afterwards. And I'm going to measure half a pound of white sugar, preferably white sugar. For those of you who do not want to use white sugar and you want to use brown sugar, it works just as fine. So that's our half pound or 8 ounces white sugar. I'm going to pour this in the bowl with the butter. And we are going to put that to cream. For 15 minutes at speed mark number 6. This is going to cream for 15 minutes. Okay. While this is creaming, we are going to break our eggs and whisk our eggs in the meantime. We need half a pound of eggs, which is equivalent to 4 eggs. And I know some of you all might be saying, why have some eggs? Or why do I have to weigh the eggs? The purpose for weighing the eggs is to ensure that you have half a pound of eggs. Okay, now that we have our eggs broken, to our broken eggs, we are going to add the rind of 1 lime. Here I am using a microplate which breaks the lime, removing just the skin. But for those of you who do not have one like this, you can use a good old grater. Works just fine. have our lime grated. In our egg mixture, we are going to add our essences. Which is 4 tablespoons vanilla essence. Almond essence. Any brand is fine now, by the way. And 2 tablespoons mixed essence. So we are going to whisk that right in. To recap, in the cake mixer mixing for 15 minutes, we have half a pound of glow spread butter, half a pound of white sugar, but you all can use brown if your preferred choice. These have to cream for 15 minutes. While it is creaming, we mix 4 eggs, which is half a pound of eggs, 4 tablespoons vanilla essence, 2 tablespoons almond essence, and 2 tablespoons mixed essence, along with the grated rind of 1 lime. And we are going to set this aside. While this is set aside, we are going to measure our flour. We need 3/4 pound flour. For the rum cake, fruit cake, it is better to use coffee instead of chocolate, because what the coffee does is the coffee enhances or brings out the flavor of the fruit cake. You can also use coffee in chocolate cake because the coffee also brings out the flavor in the chocolate cake. So in our case, the coffee is used as an enhancer. So I'm measuring 3/4 pound flour. I'm using regular flour, but you can use all-purpose flour if you have. They both work just as fine. Okay, I should say for the half pound of fruit cake, we should use half a pound of each ingredient all the way. But the reason why we are using 3/4 pound flour is because of the extra liquid that we are going to put in. Therefore, we might need a little extra flour. Okay, by now we should have had our raisins, prunes, currants, and sultanas either steamed or soaked could set aside to add to our cake batter. So while our sugar is being creamed, we still have 10 more minutes. Our mixture has already been whisked, and our flour has already been weighed and set aside. We are going to chop our cherries. We're gonna cut each cherry in 4. You wanna cut it at a size, so when you take a slice of cake to eat, you can actually see the cherry. And it should be half-pound cherry. Any questions, anyone, on the process thus far? Okay. Is anyone doing the cake together with me right now? Okay, we are almost done on the cherries and our batter is almost ready. Still have a few more minutes to go. Okay, our cherries are all done. Our cherries are all done. We are going to set it aside while we concentrate on the batter. Good. We are now going to add the egg mixture to our creamed butter and sugar. To recap, our egg mixture consists of our half pound of egg, which is 4 eggs, 4 tablespoons vanilla essence, 2 tablespoons almond essence, and 2 tablespoons mixed essence, along with the grated rind of 1 lime. All this together, we've whisked it into a nice mixture. Now we are going to add it to our egg, to our batter. Gradually, please, not all at one time. So you put some, you allow it to cream up. Pour some more, and you also allow that to cream up. Now we're going to put the last. Now, nothing shall go to waste, so I'm going to use my spatula, a rubber spatula, and I'm going to scrape my bowl so we can get everything out of that bowl. Perfect. Now I'm going to turn off the mixer. Remove the guard. For those of you whose mixer has a guard, the guard only serves as preventing spills. I'm going to scrape it. Scrape the sides, because if you notice, the side of the batter is not properly mixed. So we are going to scrape the side nicely. Perfect. And we're going to put it back to mix for a further 5 minutes. Starting. So while that is mixing, we are going to add in our gravy browning. The gravy browning has to be added at this point. After you cream your butter and your sugar, you put in your egg mixture. Now you're going to add your gravy browning. Today we're using grace, and we are going to use 1/4 of a cup or 4 tablespoons. We're going to pour in this gravy browning slowly, so we won't get no spill. Nice and slow. Scrape it so we get everything out of it. At this point, your batter should have a thick consistency. It shouldn't be watery. show me what their batter looks like. If any one of you are doing it together with me. Now we are going to turn off our cake mixer. This is as far as the cake mixer takes us. Everything else that has to be done to the fruit cake has to be done by hand. This is what it should look like. Good. At this point, we are going to transfer our batter into a larger bowl. Stainless steel bowl, preferably. If you don't have a stainless steel bowl, whatever it is you have. Please try to get everything out of that bowl. Scrape it off using a rubber spatula. Okay. Alright. I am using a spatula at this point, but at this point, if you have a wooden spoon, it is
Okay,
fine.
somebody has a question. 1 minute. Alessa, please ask your question. Can you ask the question? Oh, continue.
Okay.
Instead of coffee, have you used chocolate powder?
No. No. We need to use the coffee because the coffee enhances the flavor of the fruit cake. For some people that don't take coffee, they can put guineas or some other stuff in it, but not chocolate. Okay, now that we've transferred the batter into a larger bowl, we are now going to add our fruits. Remember I said earlier on that your prunes, raisins, currants and sultanas should have been soaked or steamed and properly cooled. Not the cherries, nor the mixed peel. Cherries and mixed peel do not soak, do not cook. They are to be used as is. In adding the fruits to your batter, please ensure that you do not put too much of the soaked liquid into the batter. Because if you put too much of the soaked liquid into the batter, that means you have to compensate with a lot of flour. And the end result is that your cake is going to be heavy. Now you do not want a heavy fruit cake. You want a fruit cake which is moist and light. Okay. So we've just added our soaked fruits. Now we are going to add our mixed peel and our raisins. I know that there are people who do not really like the taste or the flavor of the mixed peel. So if you want, it's optional. You can either put it in or leave it out. In today's case, I'm just going to add cherries. Now that we've added our fruits and our cherries, we are now going to add our flour. The flour must be sifted. So I'm now going to sift the flour. The flour can be sifted directly into the mixture. And the flour should be measured already, which is 3/4 pounds flour or 12 ounces flour. And we are going to fold in the flour gently. Okay. To this mixture, we are now going to add our baking powder. Baking powder in fruit cake is optional. Most people don't use it because the fruit cake has its natural rising agent. But the baking powder can be used just to enhance the rising. So we are going to use just 2 tablespoons baking powder. Mix that up nicely. Now if you can see, our fruit cake is beginning to take shape. The color looks great. For people who want a darker color, you can increase on the gravy browning, but please bear in mind that too much gravy browning makes your cake bitter. So you need to be careful as to the amount of gravy browning you put into the cake. But the cake is not going to look like this color after it is baked. After it's baked, it's going to have a nice dark brown color. Okay, to that, we are now going to add our coffee. We are going to dissolve the coffee in 1/4 cup ruby rich wine. If you don't have ruby rich wine, you can use the red label wine, or you can use cherry brandy. I'm going to measure 1/4 cup ruby rich wine. Good. I'm going to add my 2 tablespoons of instant coffee. 2 tablespoons is equivalent to 6 teaspoons. 6 teaspoons is equivalent to 6 packets of the instant coffee, the small packets. One small packet is 1 teaspoon. I'm going to dissolve that. Nicely and add it to our cake mixture. This is going to enhance the flavor of our fruit cake. Mix that up nicely. And our fruit cake batter is all done and ready to go. This is what it should look like. Not too thick, and at the same time not too soft. If your batter is too watery and you put it to bake, that means your fruits are going to sink because it doesn't have enough body to allow the fruits to be evenly distributed in the cake. If your batter is too heavy, it's going to bake like dumpling. It's going to rise to a peak and bake like dumpling. If it has too much sugar after it is baked, you're going to have a hard crust. That is your cake. You're going to have a hard sugary crust around the cake. So please note that measurement is everything. You measure twice and you pour once. I'm going to go over the ingredients one more time. In this batter, we have half a pound of raisins, half a pound of prunes, half a pound of sultanas, and half a pound of cherries, which had to be pre-soaked in wine or steamed, allowed to cool and set aside. We needed half a pound of cherries and quarter pound mixed peel. The mixed peel is optional. For those of you who like it, go ahead and use it, that's fine. For those of you who don't like the taste or the flavor of the mixed peel, it could be left out. We need 1 to 2 bottles of ruby rich wine. Reasons for so much wine is that we need 1 bottle to put the fruits to soak and 1 bottle to pour on the cake after it is baked. Please bear in mind that the wine has to be poured on the cake hot. Cold wine on hot cake. Now if the cake is baked and you realize you don't have enough wine for all, you can get wine the next day to pour on the cold cake, but the wine must be heated. Cold cake absorbs hot wine. The hot cake absorbs the cold wine. Like the cold wine will sip through the hot cake quickly, and the hot wine will sip through the cold cake quickly. Okay, we needed half a pound of margarine. In that case, we use gross spread. Half a pound of sugar. I use white, but brown sugar is fine. We needed half a pound of eggs, or 4 eggs to be exact. 3/4 pound sifted flour. We could use regular flour or all-purpose flour, or for those of you all who are health conscious and do not want to use white flour whole wheat flour works just as fine. You might just have a little tweak in here and there in the texture of the cake or the flavor of the cake. 4 tablespoons vanilla essence, 2 tablespoons almond essence, 2 tablespoons mixed essence, and one might ask why 2 tablespoons almond and 4 tablespoons vanilla? Because the almond essence is very potent. It is very strong. The flavor is very strong. That's why we use less almond. Because if we have to put the same amount of almond as vanilla, the almond flavor is going to overpower your cake, and you do not want that. One teaspoon cinnamon powder, 1 teaspoon ground nutmeg. These are optional. In today's cake, I didn't use any of them. But the cinnamon powder and the ground nutmeg, if you were to use them, they would go in at the same time you put in your flour. So when you sift in your 3/4 pound flour, you put your cinnamon powder and your ground nutmeg into the flour, and that becomes your flour mixture. 2 tablespoons instant coffee dissolved in 1/4 cup of ruby rich wine. Now, I use fresh wine because I don't have soaked wine. But in the event you soak your fruits and you have excess wine, you can use the soaked wine to pour back into the cake instead of the fresh wine. So nothing goes to waste actually. 2 tablespoons baking powder, 1/4 cup gravy browning. We use this. Personally, I love this. It gives the cake a nice golden brown color, which is not bitter in the end. And the rind of 1 lime. Now this is a cake which we've made right here. That's what it looks like. That's what it's supposed to be. Any questions, anyone? Okay. At this point, we should set our oven at 300 degrees. The oven has to be preheated at 300 degrees for at least 5 minutes, during which time we butter our pans and we put our cake to bake. One might ask, why 300 degrees? Fruit cake has to be baked at a low speed for 1 hour. After the first hour, you increase the oven speed to 350 degrees, which should bake your cake for another 45 minutes. In total, your cake should bake for at least 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours max. Most times, depending on the size of the cake. So I'm going to use some little pans. For those of you who will be making the fruit cake, you can use any pan of your choice. You can use foil pan, you can use aluminum tins, you can use Pyrex dishes, whatever you have. This, if I fill that with batter and I put that to bake, at the end of the day, we are going to end up with a 2-pound cake. After the cake is baked, it will be 2 pounds. This, after the cake is baked, it will be 1 pound. So that's a 1 pound size fruit cake. 1 pound size fruit cake is different from a 1 pound size regular cake. Okay, so we're now going to grease our pan using a pastry brush. I'm going to do 5 of them. If you were to use regular tins, that amount of batter would give you a 7-pound cake. So you can have 1 big tin and put everything in it, or you can have 2 tins, or you can get 3, but 4 cakes that size. 4 cakes that size. 4 2-pound size cakes from this batter. So it gives you enough cake for Christmas, enough cake for New Year's, and enough cake in January. Please bear in mind, if your family is large and you want to double the recipe, just double everything. That's just basic half-pound cake. Okay, for fruit cake, we are going to line our pans with wax paper. We are going to line the pans with wax paper, so our cake will be easier to get off the pan. We can use, if we don't have wax paper, we can dust the pan with flour, but I recommend dusting pans with flour for regular cakes, not fruit cake. Fruit cake, you line your pan. Reasons being, after the fruit cake is baked, you're going to pour wine into it. Chances are your hand might miss and you give it too much wine. And when you come to take it off from the pan, half the cake going to stay in the bottom of the pan. So if you line it with the wax, when the cake is cool, it comes out better with the wax. You can just pull off and your cake is off the pan. Regular cakes, you can take it off your pan warm or hot, but the fruit cake must be completely cooled before it gets off the pan. In other words, after it is baked, it has to set in the tin after you pour the wine on it. And please use wax and not parchment paper, because the parchment paper is a little bit stiffer than the wax paper. The wax paper is a little bit more pliable. pans are lined with wax, we're going to now cut off the excess wax. Cut off all the excess wax, and we are now going to re-butter the wax. So we have to grease the wax. So we grease the pan, we line with wax, and we grease again. To prevent the wax paper from sticking to the cake. So we're now going to grease our wax in the pan. Okay, that's done. Okay, so now we are going to pour our cake into our pans. Our oven should be heated already. See how we pour in? That's how your batter should look. Now please bear in mind that although we've given it a rising agent, which is baking powder, fruitcake don't usually rise that much. So you need to 3/4 full your pan. Now we're going to put this to bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. Those of you all have a timer, we are going to time it for 1 hour. If the oven can time, we time it for 1 hour. After 1 hour, we check it and we increase the oven heat to 350 degrees for a further 45 minutes. Now those cakes are small cakes, so they may not take 1 hour and 45 minutes. So after the first hour, it is wise to check the cakes within the remaining 45 minutes because it might cook before that time.
Holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till He appeared and the soul felt His worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angels' voices. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine. Oh, night divine. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angels.
Our oven has been preheated at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So now we are going to place our cake in, and I'm going to put it on the center shelf. And we are going to allow it to bake at that heat for 1 hour. After this 1 hour, we'll increase the heat to 350 degrees for a further 45 minutes. Okay, our cake has now been placed in the oven. We are going to bake our cakes at 300 degrees for 1 hour. After the 1 hour, we are going to increase the speed, the heat to 350 degrees for a further 45 minutes. Now please bear in mind that the cakes are small cakes. They may bake, and I should say will bake under 1 hour and 45 minutes. So after the first hour, we are going to check it. And within the remaining 45 minutes, you should check your cake. If the cake stays in the oven for too long after it is baked, the oven heat, the heat is going to dry out the moisture in the cake. That's 1. 2, it have a tendency to burn both under and on top, and that will cause the cake to be dry, and it's going to taste bitter. Burnt fruit cake always tastes bitter, and you're going to have to take a knife and try to cut off the burnt part under and cut off the burnt part on top, reducing the amount of cake that you have. So please always check your cake. To recap, for those of you who joined us late, we used half a pound of raisins, half a pound of prunes, half a pound of currants, and half a pound of sultanas. These 4 fruits were to be soaked in advance or steamed in advance. We also used half a pound of cherries and quarter pound mixed peel. Now the mixed peel is optional. It's based on your desired taste. If you have a taste for it, that's fine. If not, omit it, and that's fine. 2 bottles of ruby rich wine. The purpose for 2 bottles is that you were supposed to put your fruits to soak in 1 bottle of wine and have the other bottle to pour on your cake after it is baked. Some people love to put their fruits to soak in rum. Some people love to use Guinness to put your fruits to soak. All that is fine because it enhances the flavor of the fruits. At the end, you're going to have like a rummy fruit cake. But for those of you who do not want a rummy fruit cake, soaking your fruits in just ruby rich wine, red label wine, or cherry brandy wine is fine. We also use half a pound of margarine. Today I use glow spread. I must confess that glow spread is my margarine of choice. Sorry. Quarter pound sugar. Sorry, half a pound of sugar, half a pound of margarine, half a pound of eggs, and half a pound of eggs is equivalent to 4 eggs. Now one might ask, why do I have to weigh the eggs? I've never weighed eggs before. That's good. Well, in fruit cake, everything has to be weighed. If you are going with half pound of everything, you're going to have to weigh your eggs to get half a pound of eggs. If you are going with 1 pound of everything, that means you have to weigh your eggs to get 1 pound of eggs. By so doing, you know your measurement is accurate. We also use 3/4 pounds flour sifted, and one might ask, why 3/4 pounds flour when everything else is half pound, which is good. But bear in mind that we are putting extra wine, extra essence. When we pour the fruits in the batter, it might have a little extra soap wine that go in it. The half a pound of flour or 1 pound of flour in case of a 1 pound cake will not be sufficient. That will cause your batter to be too soft. And when your batter is too soft, when your batter is lacking flour, 1, your cakes can sink. You will find the center of the cake, when it's baking, it goes down. 2, because the cake doesn't have enough body to distribute the fruits evenly in the cake while it is baking, your fruits going to sink to the bottom. So that's why we use 3/4 pounds flour instead of half a pound of flour. We also use 2 tablespoons vanilla essence, 4 tablespoons vanilla essence, 2 tablespoons almond essence, 2 tablespoons mixed essence. 1 teaspoon cinnamon powder, and 1 teaspoon ground nutmeg. Now the spices, the cinnamon powder and the nutmeg are optional. You can use it, it can stay out. But in the event that you are using the cinnamon powder and the nutmeg, it needs to be sifted in with your flour. This is considered your flour mixture. We use 2 tablespoons of instant coffee dissolved in 1/4 cup of wine. Now I use fresh wine today because I did not have wine remaining from soaking the fruits. Now in the event you have excess wine from soaking your fruits, you can use that soaked wine instead of fresh wine. 2 tablespoons baking powder, 1/4 cup gravy browning, 1/4 cup is equivalent to 4 tablespoons, and the rind of 1 lime. We broke our eggs into a bowl, and in that egg mixture, we add our essences and our lime rind. We whisk that up and add it to our cake mixture. Your egg mixture does not have to be added all at once to your cake mixture. You do that gradually. So you put a first set, you allow it to mix a bit, put a second set, allow it to mix a bit, and then you pour the rest. After you pour the rest, you allow it to mix a bit, then you turn off your mixer and you scrape the sides of your bowl and you put it back to mix for a further 5 minutes. At which point you add the gravy browning. After which you take it off from your cake mixer, pour your mixed batter into a bowl, and you add the balance of your ingredients. From there you work by hand. So that's it for the fruit cake. Anyone has any questions, anything that you are not quite sure about, or I didn't explain properly, or anything that you missed out that you want clarification on? Okay. I took the liberty to work with a ready-made cake. This is a fruit cake, sad but true, I made this morning for the purpose of this class. This is a 2-pound fruit cake. I just garnish it with a cherry on top. And if you look at the color of the cake, this cake was made with 1/4 cup gravy browning. So even if the batter looks that light before it is baked, after it is baked, you have a nice dark brown color looking cake, which is moist. You can touch it, it sinks down, and it comes back up. And it comes back up. So that tells you that your cake is moist. I am going to cut it so you all can see what the inside looks like. That's what the cake looks like. Now this cake I made this morning was made with the exact recipe that I used this afternoon. So if you all follow the instructions to the T, then you should have no problem having the perfect fruit cake. See your cherries. It is not hard. See when you push it down, it bounces back. That tells you that your cake is moist. So that's the finished product. And I'm going to ask anyone in the audience if they want to sample it.
Sure.
And they can give you all the feedback as to how does it taste.
Sampler. Let me take off my mask. This is good. This is real good. Julia did a good job.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Where my cake? No, but for me. It is good. I will not show my greenness on camera. Really good.
Sorry, I didn't taste it. So
Really, really nice. Thank you so very much, Miss Eloi, for coming to our rescue every year with our virtual classes. Thank you, everyone, for partaking in our sessions. And this is just the first of 4 virtual sessions. Next week, Thursday, we have ham glazing and turkey stuffing. We also have on Tuesday the 14th, we have cupcake decorated and cookies. Cupcake and cookies decorated. So get your young children, your young adults involved, and remember, you can always work with us. You do not necessarily have to just sit and watch. While we appreciate your coming, but we love to see a little action in the kitchen as well, okay? So we will post all the ingredients that you will need on our Facebook page. And on the 16th, we will have sorrel, shodo, and ginger beer making. So all this to enjoy our Christmas season. We'd like to also thank the Division of Culture for assisting us with our videotaping. Thank you so very much. You can also find the recording on our Facebook pages, so you can go back to Division of Culture or Ministry of Governance Facebook page. Okay, so thank you all for coming. Have a good evening, and see you all next week, Thursday, same place for turkey and ham. Okay, have a good evening. Bye.